Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Zeina Bou Zeid. I'm one of the professors here at the Department of Law and Legal Studies. I'm an instructor in the program. I've been teaching in our department for about 14 years now. I teach some of our second, third, and fourth year courses, so at some point along the way, I'll have a chance to meet you. Thank you for joining us today. We wanted to reach out to you to tell you a little bit more about our program and our department, what we do here, and then at the end of the presentation to hopefully answer any questions that you guys might have about the program. We know that it's a really big decision to decide where you want to go to university and what program to enroll in, especially in these challenging times. And so we're really thrilled that you're thinking of joining us. So today I'm going to be introducing a couple of members of our department staff, and I'm going to go through a couple of details about our program that I think might be of interest to you. And at the end, there'll be a bit of time for questions. Feel free to ask us questions through the chat function. We'll be answering those as well. So as you can see up on the screen, you'll see who we are in the program here today. So I am the department's undergraduate supervisor, and part of my role is to think about the experience that you will have as future law and legal studies students. So what courses might be of interest to you. And one of the prime functions that I do is to also assist you with any career planning. So if you're thinking that you want to go to law school or grad school, if you want to jump right into the workplace, I'm here to chat with you about your options through the next few years in our program. I'm also going to introduce you to Leslie Malik. She is our undergraduate administrator. She's one of our amazing staff members in the program. She's going to jump into the presentation in a few minutes. She's one of the most important contact people for you in the department. She'll tell you a little bit more about what she does, but she's kind of the person that you want to check in with at least once a year to make sure that you're on the track to graduate and that you've taken all the courses that you need to. Also, another one of our staff that are here is Lindsay Dennison. She is the assistant to the chair and the communications coordinator. She is actually the former undergraduate administrator, and so she's here to help in the chat function with any questions that you might have as well. Next slide, please. So let me start off by telling you a little bit about our department. You will be joining Canada's oldest and largest undergraduate program in legal studies. The program began back in 1967. It was the first program in the country to offer an interdisciplinary legal focus. In 2017, Carleton celebrated its 75th anniversary, and our department celebrated our 50th anniversary as well. Until recently, the study of law was really the exclusive concern of professional law schools, and that was really limited to studying the law and its technical features. But really, social scientists, public policy researchers, as well as other scholars had developed an increasing interest in the role of law in society. And so when I highlighted that quote on the very first slide, law, it's not just for lawyers, what I mean by that is that our project of law and legal studies integrates these really big questions and research methods that come from a variety of different disciplines. And so our program examines how the law shapes and is shaped by political, economic, and cultural forces. You're going to develop a broader understanding of the law and its social, economic, and global context. The legal studies curriculum examines these really big questions about the law. So for example, what are the limits of privacy? How do we achieve political and social equality? How do we fairly distribute resources to our community? So we'll look at those really big questions. But in addition to that, we're going to study what the law is. We're going to examine cases and statutes. We're going to look at bills as they make their way through Parliament. But we're going to ask you to critically analyze those legal problems. We're going to ask you to think creatively and draw your own conclusions about what the law should be. We'll examine current and historical legal debates. We'll look at cases and statutes that have changed our community and how the public has reacted to them. You might be wondering, will we examine the impact of COVID-19 on our political community and our cultural community? Absolutely. There's been a flurry of laws that have been released by government recently, raising all kinds of legal questions. It was only back in March that the Trudeau government talked about using the Emergencies Act, a statute that has not been used yet, but its precursor was only used during wartime and during a national crisis. We have a lot of governments, provincial governments that have started to, and local governments that have started to ticket people for not appropriately social distancing. So we'll look at the legal impacts of that. In fact, one of our PhD graduates and current contract instructors has actually started a project about the impact of COVID-19 on that work and family life balance for communities. Okay, so we will definitely look at some of the most current examples of the law in Canada and internationally. Next slide, please. So what can you do with this degree? Our close proximity to a number of important institutions in Ottawa makes this a great place to study the law. You're right next to Parliament, local governments, the Supreme Court of Canada, many other courts, many government agencies and departments that study the law directly or indirectly. So you have a great opportunity to study the law and also work in Ottawa at one of these great organizations, whether it's in the summer or in the fall, winter as well. Many of our graduates go on to work in various government departments and agencies, federal and provincial and local, educational institutions, and you can really see a list of the career paths that many of our students have gone into. About 15% of our graduates go on to become lawyers, so if that's your interest, then this is a great sort of background program to get you thinking about the law. Let me give you a few examples of where some of our exceptional alumni have ended up. Julie Dillahanty is the Executive Director of Oxfam Canada. That's a huge charity that focuses on alleviating poverty in this country. Juanita Dobson is the Assistant Deputy Attorney General for the Government of Ontario. Saeed Rafi has just recently been appointed to lead Toronto's Office of Recovery and Rebuild in preparation for a post-COVID-19 recovery plan in the city of Toronto. So as you can see, this is a very brief list of our alumni, but our students are very successful. Where you end up being employed is a choice that you make depending on your interest, because the skills that you get while you're here are transferable skills that will really take you from many organizations, and not just organizations that have that law background or are law schools. We run several alumni events throughout the year. This is a chance for you to meet our graduates and to get a sense of what they've done with their degree. So watch out from those announcements coming around from our staff. And on top of that, it's a really great networking event. Next slide, please. So these are some of the programs that we offer. We have the BA Honors, the 4-year program, the BA 3-year program, and the BA Combined Honors. That's also known as the double major. That gives you the opportunity to combine your law degree with another program at Carleton. Next slide, please. So what do we offer? We've got 3 concentration areas: business law, law policy and government, and transnational law and human rights. The concentrations really give you an opportunity to select courses that are specific to a particular area of law. You do not need to enroll in a specific concentration. Most of our students don't. You can take as many courses on different legal topics that you want. It's really a choice up to you. Co-op options. We have co-op options for those students enrolled in the business law and law policy and government concentrations. That gives you a chance in your 3rd year to work at an organization in Ottawa. There are research assistant opportunities. In your 4th year, you can become a research assistant for one of our faculty members and get course credit for that. We also have work placement opportunities. Again, in your 4th year, students have the opportunity to work in a law-related field and get course credit for that. Part of my role is to supervise those work placements, and this year we had several students working at law firms in Ottawa, others that worked in a local business, one that worked with the RCMP, and others that were at local non-governmental organizations in Ottawa. So it's a great opportunity to get a little bit of that employment experience and use it for course credit. There's also the international exchange. This is the opportunity where you can study at over 175 partner institutions in over 35 countries. The exchange usually takes place in your 3rd year. We have many students that take advantage of this. Many of our students go on to study at law schools in England, Ireland, or Australia. This year, we are really excited because we announced an agreement with a university in Brussels, and that gives you an opportunity to study law at their law school in Brussels, but also the option to intern in the summer at one of the European Union institutions. So it's a really exciting exchange opportunity. Next slide, please. And I'm going to pass it over to Leslie to talk to you about what your first year will look like.
Hi everyone, I'm Leslie, the undergraduate administrator, as previously mentioned. Your first year schedule will involve Laws 1001 and Laws 1002, which are both prerequisites for your upper year laws courses. What we typically recommend is that you take Laws 1001 in the fall, along with breadth requirements and electives, which I'll get to in the next slide. And in the winter, Laws 1002, again with some breadth requirements and also electives. Next slide, please. So what the breadth requirements is, most Bachelor of Arts programs at Carleton do have the breadth requirements, and you can always look on your audit to be able to see if that is part of your degree program. The breadth requirement involves culture communication, humanities, engineering, science and design, and social science. What is asked of you is that you take 1 credit in 3 of the 4 areas. This doesn't mean that you're not going to take more courses in this area. It just depends on your program here at Carleton. The reason there are the breadth requirements is because we want you to have a diverse educational experience. So you're not really studying in a silo. You're not just studying law courses. You get to kind of dibble and dabble into different courses across the university, basically just for a well-rounded education. Next slide.
Hello again, everyone. So Leslie was just talking to you about what your first year might look like, but I also wanted to give you a quick overview of what the next few years might look like as well. So we offer around 70 courses each year. Again, by far the most course options that you're going to see in a law and legal studies program. You have the opportunity to explore a wide range of options from anywhere from criminal law to business law to human rights to constitutional law. In your first year, the 2 courses that you will take will give you an overview of the legal landscape. So you're going to talk about the legal system, the courts, actors involved in the legal process, lawyers and the police, for example, and then you'll pick up on a bunch of different legal areas. So criminal law, human rights, Aboriginal, constitutional. In your second year, we're going to get a little bit more specific. You don't have to take all the courses that you're going to see on the screen, but you will end up taking several of them. And in second year, you have a chance to explore a variety of subjects in a little bit more detail. There's also additional courses offered that are not appearing on the screen. Next slide, please. So in your third and fourth years, you're going to have an opportunity to take more specific legal courses. The next few slides that I'm going to go through are going to be some of our standard course offerings, but they're going to be grouped together by area. So these are some of the courses that you will see in the criminal law area. And I should say before I go through the courses that you don't have to stick to one specific area. You can take courses on as many different topics. It really depends on what interests you. So these are some of the criminal law courses: youth and criminal law, punishment and the law, drugs, the user and the state, policing and social surveillance, sentencing, human rights in Canadian prisons. Next slide, please. So these are some of the courses under the business law heading: contracts, intellectual property, international trade regulation, employment law, law in the information society, regulation of corporate crime, and international economic law. Next slide, please. These are some of the courses that are under the human rights and social justice category. So regulating freedom of expression in Canada, equality and discrimination, law and Aboriginal peoples, international human rights, law, disability and society. Next slide, please. And there's also a variety of other courses that you can take. These are some other courses not under any of those headings: law of environmental quality, law of the family, international law of armed conflict, immigration and refugee law, medical criminal law issues, religion and state in Canada, law and violence. And then every year we offer different special topics courses. These courses give you a chance to examine a unique area of the law. So for example, this year we offered courses on ocean challenges in international law and another course on wrongful convictions. Next year, or this year coming up in the fall, we're going to have a course on sports and the law. So you're going to have a lot of courses to choose from. And again, it's really up to you if you want to stick to one particular area of law or if you want to broaden your interest. Next slide, please. And I think I'm going to pass the next one on to Leslie.
Hi again. So this is the academic support slide. Basically, you can look at me like your go-to person in the department. Inquiries that I typically receive are audit reviews, course selection, and sequencing, course information, making sure you're on track to graduate. When in doubt, if you have any question, you can contact the department. If it's not us, we can point you in the right direction. I also want to bring to your attention, and I hope that if you choose Carleton, getting familiar with your audit is extremely important. It's your roadmap to success, and it's very important to remember that every student's career here at Carleton is unique, and so I encourage you to ask questions along the way and hope to chat with you soon.
Hello again, everyone. So one thing that I did want to highlight to you, because you're probably wondering what social events and things like that are available in the department, there is a really active student organization known as the Carleton Law and Legal Studies Society. They are run by our students. They have their own student government, and they host a lot of social events. They also host a lot of information sessions. So for example, how to apply to law school, or what kind of prep do you need to do for the law school entrance exam. So check out their website, it's up on the screen. And when you do become a member in our program, feel free to enroll with them. It's a great way to really get connected with other like-minded students in the program. Next slide, please. So because our approach to the law is so diverse, you're going to meet a lot of professors with various research backgrounds. Some of the faculty are going to have social science PhDs, some of them will hold a PhD in law, and others will be lawyers. We have about 35 faculty members. Again, I sound like I'm gloating, but it's the largest faculty for a legal studies program across Canada. On top of that, we have additional contract instructors that join us each year. These instructors come from a variety of backgrounds. Some of them work in law firms in Ottawa and around the country. Some come from federal and provincial governments. Others work for think tanks, local institutions in Ottawa, or some of them even come from Parliament Hill. For example, one of our former instructors is currently a representative for Ottawa in the Ontario legislature. So the last thing I wanted to do is to really just introduce you to some of our faculty members that you're going to meet. I'm not going to have all 35 up here, but I sort of selected a few faculty members from different teaching backgrounds. So on the screen right now, you can see Professor Vincent Kizmerski. He is the chair of our department right now and also an associate professor. He teaches the first year laws courses, so you're likely to meet him in your first year in our program. Professor Kizmerski comes with a wealth of experience to our department. His area of research is in constitutional law and around promoting exclusion or exclusion of disabled persons in society. On the department main page, our law department main page, you will see a short video by our chair, Professor Kizmerski, really just kind of introducing you to the program and sort of talking a little bit about what your year is going to look like next year in light of the pandemic. Next slide, please. So Professor Jane Dixon researches in the area of criminology and First Nations and traditional justice. Her newest book, By Law or Injustice, really expresses her views on Canadian Indigenous claims policy and the challenges faced by Indigenous claimants. Professor Dixon teaches some of the first year law courses as well. So again, you might meet Professor Kizmerski or you might meet Professor Dixon in your first year. Next slide, please. Professor Dale Spencer researches in the area of criminology. As you can see on the screen, he's the recipient of a lot of research awards. His latest book, Violence, Sex Offenders, and Corrections, examines sex offenders and imprisonment. Professor Dale Spencer is the winner of the 2019-2020 Carleton University Faculty Graduate Mentoring Award. So you can really see that he has a deep commitment to mentoring our graduate and undergraduate students. You will probably meet him in some of your third and fourth year classes around criminal law. Next slide, please. Professor Amni Khan researches on sexuality and gender. Her latest book, Vicarious Kinks, explores whether the law is an objective adjudicator of sexuality. Professor Khan teaches in the third year research methods course that focuses on how to conduct socio-legal research. She also teaches a fourth year course on sexuality and the law. Next slide, please. Professor Melanie Adrian's research focuses on the question of rights and minorities in religiously, ethnically, and culturally diverse societies. Her latest book, Religious Freedom at Risk, the EU, French Schools, and Why the Veil Was Banned, is an examination of religious freedom in Europe and secularism in France. Professor Adrian has been awarded the prestigious chair in teaching innovation. That is Carleton's top teaching award for educators who have demonstrated teaching excellence throughout their careers. So we're very happy that she is in our program. She teaches several human rights courses and in addition, a course on activism in academia. And next slide, please. And Professor Cheryl Hamilton teaches in both the School of Journalism and Communications and in our program. Her research examines questions around legal personhood, media, and the law, gender, and technology. Her latest book, Becoming Biosubjects, Bodies, Systems, and Technologies, examines the debates around biotechnologies, for example, how genetic technologies are shaping criminal justice. Professor Hamilton teaches the third year intellectual property course and a course on freedom of expression. And the last slide, please. So to wrap up, that was just a really quick overview of some of the faculty you'll meet over your next few years with us. We are excited that you are thinking of joining our program, and we look forward to welcoming you in the fall. Even though the fall term is going to look a little bit different than it has in previous years, we are deeply committed to making sure that you have a wonderful experience in our program. All of our faculty and staff are here for you as registration opens, as the term gets started, and as you move through the 3 or 4 years that you're with us. So please feel free to email myself or Leslie, the undergrad administrator. Our emails were up on slide 2. In addition to that, if you don't want to go back and rewatch the presentation, you can always go to our department side. On the side of the screen, you'll see a little bar that says Department Faculty, and you can just click on that and get our email addresses. So we're always happy to answer your questions. And I'll wrap up there, and I'll see if there's any questions that you'd like me to answer. Yeah, I think, Lindsay, you saw a question come through?
Yeah, we got some really good questions, actually. So somebody asked, how do we assist students with law school applications?
How do we assist students with law school applications?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you have to essentially apply for law school on your own, but I am there to walk you through that entire process. It can be a little bit challenging because there's multiple things that you need to do to apply to law school. You're going to be thinking about who your letters of reference are going to be. You're going to be thinking about your extracurricular record. So what else have you been doing besides school, your workplace, other activities that you've been doing? You also want to think about your courses that you've been taking. So I'm happy to talk to you early on about what that process looks like and applying, and all of the various stages that you need to kind of walk through to get your application in. The application itself is a fairly easy online application. It's all the things that you want to make sure are done on your resume to really set you apart from other students. That when you're applying to law school, you really want to try and perfect. So feel free to drop by my office or send me an email and sort of ask, what are the things I need to do to have a great law school application? Any other questions you guys spotted?
Yeah, so we had a couple of questions. One question that came up is, What kind of networking events, like are we going to have any networking events online in the fall?
Yeah, so good question. So the fall term is going to look a little bit different than we've had in the past. So we do have these events where they're alumni events. So there's a chance for alumni to come back and really talk to you about what they've been doing with their degree and how, sort of give you an idea of areas that you might go into. We will have those events online. Usually we run one of those events closer to the winter term. But we will definitely run those events online, and we'll probably do something like a Zoom presentation where you'll have a chance to kind of see and hear from everyone and interact. So, although we can't do these things on campus, we're going to make every effort that all of our events that we run, alumni events, book launches, talks that we do, are all going to be in an online accessible format for all of our students.
So it seems like one of the more popular subjects that's coming up in our questions is about what to do with your degree afterwards. So you did go over some of the other jobs that you can have, careers that you can have other than a lawyer. Is there anything else that you wanted to add career-wise for that?
Yeah, so it's really, as I mentioned earlier, it's really limited by where you want to end up. If you have an interest in human rights, let's say you're very much interested in disability issues, then you can take this degree and apply to organizations that are social justice organizations around disability rights. If you're very interested in business law and you're really interested in the regulation of corporations, then you can start to apply to organizations, maybe think tanks, non-governmental organizations that look at these kinds of regulations policy. So it really depends on what your interest is. We've got students, as you could see from that slide earlier, that really end up in many different areas. So again, you're sort of limited, you're only limited by what is of interest to you. Many of our students go on to become lawyers, but the majority of our students end up working in various fields.
We've got some good questions coming in. So besides law school, what other options are there after graduation?
So again, for some people, they might want to go on to grad school, but the majority of our students go straight into the workplace. You're really lucky to be in a place like Ottawa. The opportunities available to you here because of the courts that are here, the federal governments that are here, and all the various departments and agencies, it really just opens up a wealth of opportunities to apply for all of these jobs. So most of our students, I will say a good majority of our students end up in some government related area, but that could be anywhere from Parks Canada to the Department of Justice. So as I was mentioning earlier, it really depends on what is of interest to you. If you're interested in family law issues, you might end up in government agencies looking at those issues. So I guess my point is, don't limit yourself to just looking for a job with law in the title. You can apply to a variety of jobs that have some sort of legal or policy analysis embedded into them. Okay.
We're getting some more questions coming in. So someone's asking about how things are going to be kind of set up in the fall term. So because we're going online, will there be TAs available to students online? How are the instructors will be available for one-on-one questions, and how kind of are the lectures going to be working?
Yeah, so as you know, the fall term is going to be online, and we're going to employ a variety of different formats to deliver the best content for our courses that we can. So it really depends on the course that you're in. If you're in larger classes, then you might be seeing pre-recorded lectures with live tutorial groups that are then recorded in case you can't join the tutorial group live. If you're in a smaller class, then it might be using Zoom. We have a lot of platforms that we're going to be working with to deliver the online materials. Yes, there are going to be TAs, absolutely, and you're going to have a chance to interact with them, not just over email, but through many different formats as well. So it really just kind of depends on how your professors are going to be setting up the courses. So for example, I'm teaching a summer course right now. I just finished my lecture today, right before I came to this recruitment event. So what I do is I've recorded some of my lectures in advance, and those are available to the students on my course website. And then I run a live tutorial session where my TAs join in, and we have a chat function on the side. We're able to answer questions. If students want to talk in the class, there's an ability to kind of raise your hand virtually, and then they can ask a question. So it's actually a very interactive thing. It looks very much like a live classroom, except you're going to see my office in the background rather than a Carleton University building. So we're working on multiple ways to deliver courses that are really dynamic. Our department is holding regular meetings over the summer where we're collecting as much information and we're practicing as much as we can so that we will be delivering your courses in the most dynamic way. You will absolutely have direct contact to your professors, whether it's through email or if it's through Zoom or some other online platform that we're using. Okay.
All right, so more questions are coming in. So are there options to study in French or, somehow keep up French language skills for some students?
So I believe, I don't know, Leslie or Lindsay, if you have more info on that, I believe there is a French option with the law program. I don't know too much about it. Lindsay, I think, will probably take that question.
Yeah, we do have, so Carleton does have a French department, so you can take courses in French, and those would be counted towards your electives. You could also add a minor in French if you wanted to. As for our program, we do have something where you can get a mention, my French is not very good, mention en français on your degree certificate. And so what you would need for that is there are specific French language courses you'd have to take at Carleton. And then you'd also then have to take some law courses in French. Most students would do this at the University of Ottawa, or you could do this at another institution where they would be approved as equivalent courses that are required, but it is definitely possible. And if this is something that you'd like to explore further, you can always reach out to us in the department, and we can go over your audit and provide you more details once you're set up, but it definitely is an option.
Okay, thanks, Lindsay.
And once travel is allowed, do we have international opportunities that we can participate in for the students?
Yeah, absolutely. Once the university okays international travel again, then the exchange will open up. I talked a little bit about the exchange earlier. This is an opportunity for you to go abroad and take courses in other universities and then get course credit at Carleton for those. So most of our students go off in their third year and do those international exchanges. They're fantastic opportunities. Hopefully this whole situation ends by the time that you guys get into third year, and so you'll have the opportunity to do that. There are some great exchanges. Some of our students go to universities and take a variety of courses, but some of our students go on to law schools. In the UK in particular, and Australia seems to be quite popular, obviously weather-wise, I'm guessing. So we really do have a variety of those opportunities, and if you have the chance, I would really suggest you take advantage of them. I don't know if there's any more questions coming up. I know everybody's looking at the chat to see if there's anything.
Yeah, we've had a really lot of good questions coming in. But let's see. What does like a normal course load look like?
Yeah, Leslie, would you like to take that question?
Definitely can. So a normal course load, typically it's you take 5 half-credit courses in the fall and 5 half-credit courses in the winter. This may look a little bit differently if you're thinking of taking early or late summer classes, and some students actually opt to take a reduced course load, which is also perfectly okay. Any of those things that you have questions about, you can always email me.
Great, thanks, Leslie.
We also had a question come in about concentrations. Sorry, let me get back to this. So for concentration, does it just mean that we cover that law subdivision in depth, or you know, are you taking kind of other courses? How do the concentrations kind of look, and how does that kind of work?
Yeah, so we actually have these little plans for you. If you do enroll in a concentration, you can pull up a chart which basically tells you what courses are required in second, third, and fourth year specifically, and what are your additional options. So when you're in a concentration, you're going to take more courses that are targeted in that concentration. So if you're in the business law concentration, which is our most popular concentration, you'll take more courses related to business law. But there's also going to be room for you to take other law courses. So it doesn't mean that you're only restricted to just business law courses, but the majority of your courses will be in that area. But we will help you out in planning that year so that you're not alone wondering what courses do I need to take. That's where you want to jump in and have a meeting with Leslie to make sure that you're on track and taking the right courses. But it's really sort of, the freedom is up to you. You'll have, if you're in a concentration, you can take specific courses, but you can take other law courses. And if you don't want to engage in a concentration, but you're still really interested in that area, then you can take as many courses in that area as well without declaring that you're in that concentration.
So to go back to when we were talking about taking French courses, and I mentioned about taking courses at University of Ottawa, how exactly do students go about taking courses at U Ottawa, or maybe somewhere else?
Yeah, Lindsay, you want to go ahead and take that one?
Sure, yeah. So if you want to take courses at the University of Ottawa, we have an agreement with the University of Ottawa where you would go out on an exchange. And so you don't have to take courses in French. You can take, if there's other courses, maybe as electives that you would like to take at U Ottawa. You can also take courses at other universities through a letter of permission, or you could also do it through an exchange as well. So with U Ottawa, if you were to go on an exchange, you would pay tuition to Carleton, and then you would take those courses at U Ottawa. There is a bit of an application process for this, and there's more information on the Registrar's Office website, as well as information about a letter of permission. But if ever you have, like, you're in the situation where you really want to take courses somewhere else, I would recommend dropping in or emailing Leslie just to see how that works and how that looks for your program.
All right, thank you, Lindsay.
We also have questions about options for co-op.
Yeah, so we do have a co-op option. For our students, it's limited to those students that are enrolled in either the business law concentration or the law policy and government concentration. And obviously you have to have a fairly good average to participate in the co-op. Your co-op will take place in your third year. We have a co-op advisor that is there to assist you with the co-op process. But essentially, you'll be offered the opportunity to apply for several co-op opportunities. Those employers will then get back to you about who they want to interview. And if you're selected, then you are placed with that organization for several months. You will complete that. And again, you'll earn course credit for your courses at Carleton. So it's, again, a fantastic way to get employment experience, to really get to know employers in Ottawa before you jump out into the workplace. So if you are interested in those two concentrations, I would really highly recommend you enroll in the co-op option as well. Don't know if there's any more questions.
No new questions have come in, but again, I just want to go over, so if a student is not sure which courses to take next year, or if they're on track for graduation, who exactly should they be talking to, or how is that done?
Yeah, so Leslie, did you want to jump in here?
Yeah, definitely. So I mentioned before your academic audit. I did say that this would be your roadmap to success. Basically, you can come and talk to me to figure out what courses you need to take. Sometimes there's, or most of the time, there's course sequencing. So there will be prerequisites involved. I do have some good ideas about if you're interested in some fourth year classes to kind of look now to see what the prerequisites may be, so you can set yourself up to be able to get into that class. Again, becoming familiar with your audit is key, but you can always reach out to me and we can talk about course selection, and course sequencing at any time.
Great, fantastic. Thank you, everyone. It doesn't look like we have any more questions, so I think we'll wrap it up. I just want to thank you again for joining us. And I just want to say again, if you do have any questions through the registration process, or even just right now before registration opens, through the years that you're with us, feel free to reach out to myself and to Leslie, your undergrad administrator. Again, our emails are up on slide 2. But you can always go to our department website and look us up under faculty and staff, and just feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to answer any questions that you guys have. So thanks again for joining us, and we look forward to welcoming you in the fall. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.